first at 9, this Monday, the 5th of August, 2024. Fierce competition. Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca and several other candidates place bonds for presidential candidacy. Deadline for postal voting applications extended. Internal conflicts. More local government representatives of SLPP pledge support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the coming election. SLPP to name its candidate this week. Target achieved. Sri Lanka's tourist arrival numbers exceed 1.1 million by the end of July.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. Now taking you to your top story this evening, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca deposited bonds with the Election Commission today to contest in the 2024 presidential election as an independent candidate. Meanwhile, the Election Commission issued a notice refuting rumours that registered voters will be allowed to cast their votes at any polling station in the island. According to the 2024 voter list for the presidential election to be held on September 21st, the number of registered voters is 17,140,357. The Election Commission has stated that Gampaha is the district with the highest number of registered voters, totaling 1.8 million. The Commission has also emphasized that the claim that registered voters can vote at any polling station in the island is false. Voting can only be done at the polling station within the constituency where each voter is registered. Additionally, postal voters have the option to cast their vote in the presence of their certifying officer. The Election Commission will send an official voter notice to the address of each registered voter in the 2024 voter list, indicating the voter's name and the polling station where they can cast their vote. Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of Elections, Saman Sriratnayaka, said that the deadline to accept postal voting applications, which was scheduled to end at midnight today, has been extended. Accordingly, the relevant deadline has been extended until 12 midnight on the 9th of August. The Elections Commissioner General said that this decision was made in consideration of the possible postal delays and several requests made by the public to the Commission. Several presidential candidates also deposited their election bonds at the Election Commission today. Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, contesting as an independent candidate, deposited his bonds today at the Election Commission through entrepreneur Dhammika Ratnayaka.
එතුමා ඔය හදන්නේ මේ සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ ඡන්ද කැඩීමක් සඳහාද මේ ස්වාධීනව ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්නේ?
ඡන්ද කැඩීමක් මෙතන කොහෙත්ම සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද එතුමා ස්වාධීනව ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්නේ ජනතාවගේ මූලික අරමුණ වෙන අල්ලසෙන් තොර විනයගරුක රටක් නිර්මාණය කිරීමේ.
In addition, former parliamentarian and former member of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna Siripala Amarasinghe also deposited his bonds to contest as an independent candidate. K.R. Krishan from Arunalu Janata Peramuna also deposited his bonds today. As of now, a total of 17 candidates have deposited their election bonds. This includes 10 candidates contesting under recognized political parties and 7 independent candidates.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Meanwhile, tensions within the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna have intensified as more local government representatives pledged their support to incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming elections. Meanwhile, the faction of the SLPP that has decided to nominate a separate presidential candidate announced that the candidate will be revealed on Wednesday. The Gampaha District Council of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna held a meeting yesterday at the party office of Minister Prasanna Ranatunga. During the meeting, the council decided to support incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election.
Where they have gone wrong is that you cannot forcefully appoint leaders. I'm deeply saddened by what happened on the 9th of May 2022. It was something I opposed. On the 8th of May at Temple Trees, I advised against it. However, they proceeded due to their ego. I am not going to reveal the names of those I spoke to, as doing so could affect ongoing legal cases. They do not care about the party. Their decisions are driven by personal political agendas. A few weeks ago, I spoke with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and asked him about the situation. He advised that we should support President Ranil Wickremesinghe, and we have proof of this. When I mentioned that the party was considering nominating a separate candidate, he expressed that the party should not do that and suggested that if the party decided to go ahead, we should make an independent decision. I take full responsibility for my statements. If the party chooses to remove and reject us, remember that we have already made alternative plans.
Meanwhile, several local government representatives of the SLPP in Kegol, Kalutara and Puttlam districts have also pledged their support for President Ranil Wickremesinghe in the upcoming election. However, some local government representatives in the Kalutara district have indicated their intention to support the SLPP's decision to field its own presidential candidate. The national organizer of the SLPP, Namal Rajapaksa, and MP Sanjeeva Edirimana also joined the meeting.
As the national organizer of the party, I assure you that as a party that has won elections in the past and will continue to win in the future, we are confident that we will win the upcoming election by uniting together.
Additionally, a meeting has been scheduled today at former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's residence in Colombo for SLPP members to discuss their strategy for the upcoming elections.
ඔබතුමා වගේම ළඟින් හිටපු රෝහිත අබේගුණවර්ධන මහතා ගියානේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා ගාවට. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද හිතන්නේ? ඊයේ නෙමෙයි ගියේ හොඟක් දවස් ගියේ. නැත් අවුරුදු 27ක් සමානයි. දැන් අපේක්ෂකයාගේ තත්ත්වය කොහොමද? කවද්ද එලි දකින්නේ කොහොමද? 7 වෙනිදා. දිනන අපේක්ෂක ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ අපේ පක්ෂයේ පමණයි.
In a related development, State Minister of Finance Shehan Semesinghe responded to a letter from the General Secretary of the SLPP Sagara Karyavasam. He stated that neither he nor the voters are obligated to adhere to the party's decision made on the 29th of July. He also indicated that if disciplinary actions are imposed, he would oppose them and will not hesitate to make decisions in the best interest of the country and its citizens.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
And with that, let's take a look at the latest developments in the political front. Ranil is uncertain whether he can win the election due to the unreliability of the people around him. He became an independent candidate to gather the support of politicians who have no permanent allegiance to any party.
Politicians who previously supported Basil Rajapaksa have now shifted their support to Ranil Wickremesinghe. According to my information, Namal Rajapaksa only has the support of 12 members of the SLPP. Out of these 12 members, 5 are from Rajapaksa family. Additionally, a senior member of the Rajapaksa family has inquired about the possibility of supporting Ranil Wickremesinghe. However, Ranil's team has requested that they refrain from doing so to avoid the appearance of Rajapaksa interference. This situation highlights how deeply politics in the country has deteriorated.
Supporters of Mahinda Rajapaksa have shifted their allegiance to Ranil Wickremesinghe. The people who are supporting Ranil Wickremesinghe are the ones who were rejected by the people of the country.
Members of the Rajapaksa family have been comedy actors. They appointed Ranil Wickremesinghe as president but then betrayed him, which led to Ranil Wickremesinghe fracturing the SLPP.
Most of our party members started to join the UNP and support the incumbent president through deceitful means. However, the president rejected their support, but our party members still allied themselves to his camp. I am not criticizing the incumbent president. We understand that he declined their support.
The opposition should be prepared to take over the country in times of crisis. However, in our country, the opposition refused to step in. We cannot allow them to take control and drag the country back into a crisis after we work to overcome the crisis.
Now, while highlighting the government's initiatives to boost the country's economy, President Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed plans to attract 5 million tourists to the country in the coming years. Addressing a meeting in Trincomalee yesterday, the president stressed the importance of developing the northern and eastern provinces of the country in order to bolster the country's tourism industry. A meeting between President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Trincomalee Bar Association was held in Trincomalee yesterday morning. During the meeting, the Trincomalee Bar Association pledged their support to President Wickremesinghe in the upcoming presidential election.
We all come wholeheartedly, willingly this time. We all support His Excellency during the election time. We fully support you. There is no second word.
Meanwhile, the president expressed his views on several concerning issues currently prevailing within the country.
I want to increase the numbers from 2.5 million to 5. And one of the new areas we've looked at is the eastern province, from Panama to Championpattu in the north. So we should develop it. So from Panama to Championpattu, we'll identify large areas as tourist zones. And to go ahead from that, it will be a 20-year project, but you can start now. Actually, we are looking at starting in Bentota and coming all the way up here because that stretch of beaches are also good. And then they can come to the hinterland. Some can go from here to Anuradhapura, some can go to Polonnaruwa, some can go to Askamo, they can go to Kandy, Ella, any place they want, so it becomes. And we also have a number of airports. Now, Palal is the international airport. We have the Hiranamadu airport, which we can also use for small local planes. We have the Trinco one. We are developing further the Hingaragoda airport to take even some of the flights that come from overseas. Vaticlo one is limited because of the water. We have Ampare, which also has potential to be developed, and Mattala. Actually, at the moment, we seem to have more airstrips than hotels. So let's ensure we have more hotels. But it's good. That will be a big boost to the economy and to get people down here. Trincomalee will become one big city, maybe the biggest in the eastern part of Sri Lanka.
Now, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa revealed that he plans to develop the country's tea industry by addressing the concerns raised by the country's tea planters. Speaking during a meeting with low country tea planters today, the opposition leader added that Samagi Jana Balawega plans to uplift the country's plantation community by instating them as owners of small-scale tea plantations. A meeting between the leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, and low country tea planters was held today at the opposition leader's office.
As part of our next program, we expect to address the concerns raised by the low country tea planters. Accordingly, we will provide solutions to the land ownership issues and issues concerning the livelihoods of the plantation communities. A program aimed at establishing villages for the plantation communities will be set in motion alongside the distribution of land deeds. Additionally, the issue pertaining to the daily wages of plantation workers will also be addressed. However, we need to think beyond this issue. Plantation workers as well as the unemployed youth will be given the opportunity to uplift themselves as tea plantation owners rather than continuing their work as labourers. We will also implement a plan to develop the country's tea industry while creating a new small-scale tea plantation owners and transforming barren lands to arable lands. One of Sri Lanka's most cherished traditions, the Kandy SLPP commenced this morning with the cup situima ceremony of the Satara Mahadevalayas. Following 5 days of internal processions, the first Kumal Perara is slated to parade the streets of Kandy on the 10th of August. The Kandy SLPP, also known as the Dalada Perara, commenced this morning in Kandy. The proceedings commenced with the cup situima ceremony of the Natha, Vishnu, Kataragama and Pattini Devalayas, which was conducted at the auspicious time of 4:10 am this morning. Following the 5-day internal procession of the Satara Mahadevalayas, the first Kumal Perara is slated to take the streets on the 10th of August. Meanwhile, the final rites of the late chief incumbent of Hunupitiya Gangaramaya Temple, Venerable Galboda Gnani Sarathera, were held this evening under state patronage. Many gathered to pay their final respects to the late Thera in a fitting tribute to his over 7 decades worth of service to Buddha Sasana and the country.
Born on the 14th of December 1943 in the village of Galboda, located in the southern province of Sri Lanka, Venerable Galboda Gnani Serathera was ordained as a Buddhist monk at the age of 8 in 1954 at the Hunupitiya Gangaramaya temple. At the age of 16, Venerable Gnani Serathera was handed the responsibility of the temple due to the ailing condition of Deundara Vachi Serathera, the then chief incumbent of the Gangaramaya temple. Since then, Venerable Gnani Serathera, who became infamous among the masses as Podi Hamuduruwo, rendered a great service for the development of the Buddha Sasana and the Gangaramaya temple. Apart from his services for the upliftment of Buddha Sasana, Venerable Galboda Gnani Serathera also initiated several community service projects. The Sri Jinaratana Training Institute, which was expanded by Venerable Gnani Serathera, has been a beacon of hope for school dropouts in Sri Lanka for over 4 decades, as it offers a diverse range of over 50 technical courses. Venerable Galboda Gnani Serathera, who was receiving treatment for a prolonged illness, passed away on the 2nd of August while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo. He was 81 years old at the time of his demise. The remains of the late chief incumbent of the Gangaramaya temple were first placed in a private funeral parlour in Colombo on the evening of the 2nd of August. On the following day, the remains were brought to the Hunupitiya Gangaramaya temple. General public as well as several dignitaries arrived at the Gangaramaya temple over the last 2 days to pay their final respects to the departed chief incumbent. This evening, the remains of the late Galboda Gnani Serathera were taken to the grounds opposite the Gangaramaya temple in a funeral procession, where the final rites of the departed chief incumbent were to be held under state patronage. The final rites commenced at around 4:30 p.m. this evening, with President Ranil Wickremesinghe in attendance.
එක සැරේම උන්වහන්සේ ආවිල්ලා කිව්වා අපිට දැන් කොළඹට පෙරහැරක් නැහැනේ. මං කව අපේ කැලණිය පෙර නෑ අගනුවට තියෙන්න ඕන කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ ගිහින් ප්‍රේමදාස අගමැතිතුමා කතා කරා. අද තියෙනවා හොඳම පෙරහැරක් ලංකාවේ තියෙන්නේ මේ නවම් පෙරහැර. 83 කෝලාල කාලෙදී මට ආහාර ගෙනියන්න බැරි වුණා සරණාගතයන් ඉන්න ස්ථාන වලට. උන්වහන්සේ කිව්වා නෑ එන්න කියලා. ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේලා කිව්වා හැම ලොරියම නැගලා යන්න කියලා. ඒක නායකත්ව චරිතයක්. මම හිතුවේ ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම බිස්නස් මැනේජ්මන්ට් උගර ගන්න ඕනේ උන්වහන්සේ එක්ක ඇවිල්ලා කොහොමද මේ ඔක්කොම පාලනය කරන්නේ ගංගාරාමේ පොඩි හාමුදුරුවෝ චරිතයක්. එහෙම චරිත අපිට හම්බ වෙන්නේ නෑ අපෝ. උන්වහන්සේට නිවන් සැප ලැබේවා කියා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරා.
Afterwards, the funeral pyre containing the remains of late Galboda Gnani Serathera were ignited. Derana salutes the memory of late chief incumbent of Hunupitiya Gangaramaya temple, Venerable Galboda Gnani Serathera, who rendered an unparalleled service for both Buddha Sasana and Sri Lanka for over 7 decades. May he attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. And with that, let's take a look at local news around the island in brief. All 10 suspects, including the tattoo studio owner, arrested in connection with the murder of 2 persons, including Surendra Vasantha Perera alias Club Vasantha, were presented before the Kaduwala Magistrates Court today. Kaduwala Magistrate Chanima Vijay Bandara ordered all 10 suspects to be further remanded until the 20th of August. Students of Kahawatta Gajanayaka College and their parents launched a protest this morning against the abrupt transfer of the school's principal. The protest disrupted traffic on the Colombo-Ambilipitiya main road for several hours. CCTV footage captured an accident involving 2 motorbikes and a 3-wheeler in the Yatiyanthota area along the Hatton-Colombo road. In other local news, a person attempting to steal a mattress while fleeing a showroom was recorded by another individual. The suspect was later arrested by the Egoda Uyana police. And for Sri Lanka's latest tourist arrival numbers, join us on the other side of this commercial break.
Star dishwasher Dali Hell Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star dishwasher magic tub එක.
Welcome back. Sri Lanka has recorded a total of 187,810 tourist arrivals during the period from the 1st to the 31st of July this year. With that, the total number of tourists so far this year has increased to 1,198,059. According to statistics issued by the Tourism Development Authority, the highest number of tourist arrivals were recorded during the 3rd and 4th weeks of July, amounting to a total of 85 25,449 arrivals. The highest number of tourists in July were from India with a total of 41,173. Coming in second was the United Kingdom with a total of 20,837 arrivals. A significant number of tourists were also recorded from China, the Netherlands, Germany and France. Now, the Colombo Bourse commenced the week in red as a result of price losses in counters such as Commercial Bank, Hatton National Bank and Sampath Bank, with turnover crossing 863 million rupees. The benchmark all-share index settled 1.67% lower at 11,251.54 points, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 edged down by 2.30% to close at 3,214.38 points. Trading volume on the ASPI rose to 45.7 million shares from 29.3 million in the previous session. Mixed interest was observed in John Keel's Holdings, Sunshine Holdings and Haley's, whilst retail interest was noted in Brown's Investments, Industrial Asphalts and LOLC Finance. The food, beverage and tobacco sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the capital goods sector came in second. Foreign investors were net buyers, purchasing stocks worth 46.8 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading shares worth around 826 million rupees. And up next, we have Kavya Senadira from Capital Alliance with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
During the trading week ending 2nd August 2024, the benchmark ASPI fell below 11,500 mark, with the index reported at 11,443, a 1.6 decline from the previous week. The S&P 20 also followed this trend, declining by 2.8% to settle at 3,290. The total market turnover for the week was recorded at 6.4 billion, a 122% increase, with the major crossings in overseas realities and TJ Lanka stocks. Moving on to last week's Treasury bill auction, rupees 170 billion worth Treasury bills were offered, while only rupees 126 billion bills were accepted at the auction, and yields remain constant for all three bills. 200 billion worth Treasury bonds were issued last week, with yields increasing across all three maturities.
Now let's take a look at the rupee exchange rate for the day. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.